So you are moving to Austin because you just got a new position with Tesla and you're not really sure where to begin your home search. In this video, I'm going to go over the top 3 neighborhoods that people tend to like when they are relocating to Austin for Tesla specifically. I'm going to go over the location of each neighborhood and what they have to offer. So sit tight, watch this all the way to the end because I have a lot of information to share. I'm Daphne Quay, your boss lady realtor here in Austin, and I work with people from all over the country and the world who want to buy a home in Austin or sell a home here. If you're thinking about making a move, you can always reach out. You can call, text, email, Instagram, or you can set up a Zoom call directly with me. Just check out the description below. I have a lot of clients that have relocated to Austin to work for Tesla over the last year. And in working with them, I feel like there's 3 neighborhoods that they tend to consider when thinking about lifestyle, of course, commute to work, and what their family life is like. I'm going to tell you about the top 3 neighborhoods that my clients who are relocating to Austin for Tesla tend to consider when making their move. Make sure to watch this video all the way to the end because I have some surprising information about one of the neighborhoods that you may not have thought of. The first neighborhood on my list is the Mueller neighborhood, or I guess depending who you are and what you believe, it could also be pronounced Miller. Let me tell you all about Mueller. The Mueller neighborhood is located just east of IH-35, which is our main north and south highway. It's located a little bit north of the downtown area. If you're driving to downtown from Mueller, it's going to be 8 minutes. Maybe. If you're going from Mueller directly to the Gigafactory, it's going to take anywhere from about 19 to 23 minutes, of course, depending on traffic and how fast you drive. Mueller is known for a couple things. I think one of the main things, of course, is location. It's in an excellent location and you're close to absolutely everything. It has a really uniformed and very cohesive urban vibe to it. Most of the homes there are newer. I want to say they started construction there around 2004, give or take a couple years. And you can see really cute homes there that are newer, but they have a lot of character to them, which people love. Also a very walkable neighborhood. There's tons of stores there. There's a big H-E-B there, which I really love. And there's a bunch of restaurants, coffee shops, and just things to do. Not to mention there's sidewalks everywhere and multiple community pools. Mueller also has a super cute community park with a pond in it, and there's big geese and ducks in the pond, which is nice. But then around the pond, of course, you've got walking trails, and then there's things for everybody to do. One of the main things in Mueller is the Thinkery, which is basically, I want to say, an interactive children's museum where people can take the kiddos and go do things. They have different shows and different things for the kids to do and explore, and it's just a really cool experience, I think, overall for the family. I know the Thinkery is very involved in the community, so they actually have like grown-up events too. They'll have like wine tastings, and then they also have art galleries sometimes after hours. It's really cool. I could go on and on. I actually have another video that we did, I want to say last year, about Mueller. So if you want more info about Mueller, just get in the nitty-gritty, check that video out. Like I mentioned, you can get newer homes there. We tend to see more of a craftsman style home that was built in the 2000s to about now. More than anything though, we see these garden homes, which are these really cute, colorful homes. So when you look at these homes, you know, it's cute and it's got the colorful front and usually a colorful door and lots of windows. And then this is one of the only neighborhoods that we have alleyways because most of the garages are in the back of the home. So you don't see the garage from the front of the home. The one thing that people talk about all the time in Mueller that they don't like is that they have tiny yards. A lot of the homes don't even have yards. It's basically you have your front of the home, your front sidewalk, a tiny patch of grass, and then just garage in the back with almost no driveway some of the time, which isn't a huge deal. If you like that city lifestyle and you like that urban feel, it's fine. I personally love it. However, if you're wanting more of that Texas feel and more elbow room and more space, there's other neighborhoods that I'm going to tell you about which might be a better fit. As far as pricing goes, it's a little bit varied. You can get a 1,400-ish square foot home for about $775. You can get a larger home that's going to be about 25 to maybe 2,800 square feet. That's likely going to fall in the range of 1.3 to 1.6 million. But generally for a single family home, you're probably looking high 700s to 1.5 million. What I really love about Mueller is that it's very much a community feel to it. People are super friendly there. They're super outgoing. There's always people walking the dogs, out with the kids. They might be out for a run, and everybody's very chatty and very friendly, and it's just really easy to talk to people there. There's also a ton of stuff that you can do directly in the neighborhood. If you live in Mueller, you literally never have to leave. You should, because Austin's big and it's cool and there's always stuff to do. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. It's got its own grocery store. There's actually a movie theater there. I want to say there's a spa there. There's lots of restaurants. I could keep going and going, but that's all the time we have for Mueller. One thing about Mueller, though, that's really not great is that the school ratings are not particularly high. The neighborhood offers so much as far as convenience and lifestyle and things to do and inclusivity. It's wonderful, but the public schools there just have a low rating, which I think is really unfortunate because it's such a great neighborhood and you're kind of paying a premium to be close to everything. I just wish the schools had higher ratings. All right, so our next neighborhood is Northeast Austin. Northeast Austin, I think if you just ask anybody, is kind of a broad space, but we're going to be focusing in primarily on two zip codes, which are 78753 and 78754. This particular section of Austin is located also east of 35 and just north of Highway 290. If you're looking at a map and you leave the center of Northeast Austin and take the toll road to get to the Tesla Gigafactory, it'll take you 20 minutes. If you take other roads that are not the toll road, it'll typically take you about 25 with light traffic. The lifestyle in this portion of Northeast Austin has more of a suburb feel, and it requires a little bit more of a commute. Northeast Austin is known for having a lot of tract homes and the master planned communities. There are a couple pockets that have these older homes with a lot more character that are closer to the highway, but generally speaking, you tend to see more of the master planned communities with HOAs. This area became really popular several years ago when Samsung opened its gigantic campus off of Palmer Lane. It's really, really big. And a lot of the people that were working at Samsung started living kind of in this northeast pocket. Now, over the last few years, we've had a lot more development in Northeast Austin proper and really near to it. For instance, the Domain, if you don't know what the Domain is, I've got multiple videos about the Domain, but we've got the Domain that's about 12 to 15 minutes away from Northeast Austin. There's also, I would say, a lot of basic amenities right in the neighborhood that are really useful. Grocery stores, gyms, spas, salons, restaurants, coffee shops, that kind of stuff. Most of it, I will say, is kind of the big box names. There's a couple Starbucks. There's one independently owned coffee shop over there. And then there's a bunch of other restaurants and things to do. However, if you are in Northeast Austin, and depending what road you take and what time of day you go, it could take less than 20 minutes to get downtown. So even though you do have to commute pretty much anywhere, it's not a very long drive, and you have access to both IH-35 and the toll road 130. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of newer construction homes in the Northeast Austin area, and then there's a couple neighborhoods that have older homes that were built, I want to say, around the 60s and 70s. So with that, you have a bit of variety, of course, in the style, size. Pricing in this area tends to fall between, I would say, low 400s to about mid 600 range. For example, you could probably get a single story 1,400 square foot home that was built in 2008, maybe to 2012-ish, for around $410. Also, depending on the area of Northeast Austin, you can get an older home that's been remodeled with a decent sized lot, let's say maybe a fourth of an acre, for about $600 to $650. So those are generally the price ranges there. I'd say probably low 400s to about mid 600 is the average, if you will. Some of the things I really like about this neighborhood, and my clients who have relocated to this neighborhood to work at Tesla, is the location. They feel that they're able to get a lot of bang for their buck as far as the type of home that they get. They feel that the commute to work is reasonable. There's plenty of things to do in the neighborhood and plenty of amenities that you would just need from a neighborhood, and you can still get pretty much anywhere very quickly. Another thing that I think is really important too is that the Northeast area has been growing and growing and growing like crazy over the last 5 years. And I think if you're buying a home there with the intention to have it as an investment in the future, if you want to rent it out or even resell it down the line, there's plenty of potential to do so. So just from an investment point of view, if you come to work at Tesla and you want to get maybe a smaller home to live in for a couple years in Northeast Austin, that's something that's going to be a really smart thing to hold on to for years to come and just have rented out, because appreciation is good and there's such demand there that these homes are pretty easy and pretty quick to rent out. Some of the things I don't love about the Northeast area is that you do have to commute to go anywhere. That's like really cool. I personally love the Domain and I really enjoy eating at some like trendy restaurants downtown. So it would be a bit of a drive. If you don't mind the commute, it can be totally fine, but it's something to keep in mind. You'll probably have to get in the car to go pretty much anywhere if you're living in Northeast Austin. All right, so we've made it to the final neighborhood on my list, and that is Pflugerville, Texas. If we look on a map, you can see here that Pflugerville is really big. It goes from just the east side of 35 all the way to the east side of IH 130. Pflugerville is surprisingly large and there is a lot of landmass to it, and I feel like there's a lot of variety in the style of homes that it has to offer. As far as lifestyle goes, this is definitely a commuter lifestyle. You really have to drive to go pretty much anywhere. There's plenty of things to do in Pflugerville, but it's way more suburban than Northeast Austin and definitely way more suburban than the Mueller neighborhood. I think Pflugerville is really popular and has been growing a lot over the last few years because you can get a lot of bang for your buck. It's also a neighborhood that's growing. So if you're planning on being in your home for several years, I think it's going to become a city that's a lot more convenient over time just because there's so much more development and so much stuff happening and planned to develop in Pflugerville. As far as the style of home goes, you can generally expect to see a lot of master planned communities. There's a couple communities where you can find smaller homes that are really good starter homes or maybe good investment homes or just small homes if you're more of a minimalist, up to over-the-top, really large homes sitting in golf course communities. I see a lot of my clients that move to Austin for Tesla go to the east side of Pflugerville, particularly near the Road 130, because the commute time becomes a lot quicker. It can be anywhere from about 25 to 30 minutes depending on traffic. Also, if my clients have kiddos, of course they're going to care about the school districts. There's one elementary school that's rated particularly high on greatschools.org. I get my information from Great Schools, so this is just what I'm seeing. You have access to this info too. But Row Lane Elementary is rated 9 out of 10. And I have a lot of clients that want to be in neighborhoods that are zoned for that particular school. Not only are they getting quality schooling for their kids, but they're also getting pretty quick commute time to their work. I have a list of neighborhoods here that are zoned particularly for this school. There's a handful of popular neighborhoods that are zoned particularly for Row Lane Elementary, and that includes Meadows at Blackhawk, Estates of Row Lane, Park at Blackhawk, Commons at Row Lane, and the Sorrento community. There's a couple other ones that are also really wonderful, but these are the ones that I tend to see the most demand in. Since we were talking about the style of homes in Pflugerville, of course, people are going to want to know the price ranges. And there's, like I said, a lot of variety in Pflugerville. You can get a little tiny house that was built in the 80s, or you can get a really lovely, over-the-top, huge home that sits in a golf course community. I see price ranges kind of hanging around the high 300s up to, I would say, about 800, 850,000 is pretty much the cap in Pflugerville. If you're looking on the east side of Pflugerville in newer construction homes, you're generally going to be looking at options that are going to be about 550 to right around that 8, maybe 850 price range. Homes in that price range in those areas will get you something that's super lovely, very spacious, and just really great overall. What I really like about Pflugerville is that it's growing a lot. It has been growing a ton over the past few years. It does still have that suburban feel for people that really like that. And because most of these neighborhoods do have HOAs, the majority of the neighborhoods are pretty clean, uniformed, and very consistent looking throughout. For example, if you live on the southern portion of Pflugerville, right on the edge of Austin, you could still get lots of bang for your buck and be just a few minutes away from the center of town. So you can reap the benefit of living in Pflugerville and having a lovely home while still being very close to everything. Something I don't really like about Pflugerville that I've heard other Pflugervillians talk about too is just the sheer fact that it is so big. And if you are kind of in the northeast portion of Pflugerville, you're gonna be really far from pretty much everything. I think a lot of people go with the intention of having a big house and having this really lovely, easy lifestyle. But the thing is, if you wanna get groceries, it's at least a 15-minute drive sometimes. If you wanna go do anything. Sometimes it's at least 25 minutes, which isn't terrible, but sometimes it is nice just to hop in the car 5 minutes and be at the event that you want to be at, or at the gym that you go to, or at the grocery store, or what have you. And commuting just gets really old for people sometimes. However, if you are thinking about moving to Pflugerville, that's something to consider, and that's a very real thing that I think people that live in Pflugerville have to deal with. It's not necessarily a bad thing, just something to keep in mind. So that concludes our video for neighborhoods to be considering if you're relocating to Austin to work at Tesla. If you have other questions about relocating to Austin for Tesla, please leave a comment. I really like hearing and interacting with you guys. I'm Daphne Quay, your boss lady realtor, and you can always feel free to reach out. I work with people from all over the country and all over the world who are relocating to Austin. You can always call, text, email, send me an Instagram DM, or you can schedule a Zoom call directly with me. Just check out the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time.